Now that we've made it through a full season, he takes LSU to Atlanta, demolishes Purdue in the bowl game, wins 10 games, wrapped up a recruiting cycle that was left by Ed Ogeron, of course, this time last year. Now it's gone through a complete cycle of 2023. What's your assessment of Brian Kelley? Do you think view him any differently today than you did before he got the job?
Mark, he's done everything and more. Obviously the SEC West championship in year one, beating Alabama with, a brand new roster is just really impressive. There's just no other way around it, right? Most seasons he would win, coach of the year, but Heupel was really good. Obviously, Kirby Smart, one of the best national championship coach seasons we've ever seen from a team. So Brian Kelley's up there with those two. Shane Beamer is one of the best coaches this past year in the SEC, and now it's getting everything to a national championship level or getting this team to a college football playoff. So up to this point, Brian Kelley has silenced the naysayers with the recruiting statements that were made about him by some Notre Dame fans and media members. He has been phenomenal as a recruiter, and it's only going to get potentially better for LSU going into 2024. So now it's going to be taking this offense and defense, and most importantly, special teams to the next level so they can go to a college football playoff.
I am hearing from viewers that call in and join the chat that there's this analysis being waged between who should be the Western Division favorite. Is it still Alabama or is it LSU? Where do you stand there?
Yeah, I honestly think so when they go to SEC Media Days and pick whoever they're going to win the West, I think they're still going to pick Alabama because, well, they're Alabama, right? They bring in 9 5-stars, which is just ridiculous. I also think, though, LSU is going to be the one with the second most votes, and they very well could be, the SEC West champions. I would give the slight edge to LSU because they do know what they have at quarterback. They do now know how they're going to set up their offensive line and their receivers. They have a lot of identity coming back. They know who their coordinators are going to be. They know who their quarterback is going to be. They have a good idea of what the offense is going to look like, and it's going to take Jaden becoming a better vertical passer for them to have a legit shot at winning a national championship. And defensively, there are a lot of holes. This defensive unit could be a little thin depending on how some of these portal guys work out. But you still have Harold Perkins, who is transcendent. And then, of course, special teams has got to get better. The next step for Brian Kelley is making this team more efficient, making this team more explosive in stats such as yards per play. Efficiency-wise, success rate, all those things look really good for Jaden Daniels and LSU. The next step is becoming more explosive, and that is going to be the most important thing, because one thing we know about college football playoff teams and champions is they, more often than not, average around 6.2 yards per play. LSU is around that 5.4, 5.5, 5.6 mark, which is okay, but it's not where it needs to be, and hopefully next year it is at that mark. And if it is, Mark, they will be knocking on the door of the CFP.
Folks, you see Carter's Twitter handle right there. Check out his Twitter page. He's got a couple pictures there that you may, I had to scratch my head for a while to try to recognize who are these guys. They curiously put together have 4 enormous rings on their fingers. I don't know what that's all about either. But yeah, you got to spend a little bit of time with Peyton and Eli Manning, and it produced a couple really cool pictures.
Right.
And you're not making a big deal about it, I know, and say there's not much of a story, but still, let us know what happened there.
Yeah, so when I was an athlete, I played 4 sports, and I was 5'7", ran a 5'7", couldn't touch the net in basketball. I wasn't athletic by any stretch of the imagination, but I always appreciated athletes that beat people with their minds, and nobody, Mark, did that like Peyton Manning did. He changed the way football was played. I remember just watching him as I was growing up. I was like, got to be like him. I got to prepare. I got to know every position. And it's a big reason why, we do these film studies, and I get a lot of questions about, did you play at a high level? Did you coach or anything like that? And no, I didn't. Now, I don't know all the lingo or all of that. You just got to know these things for me to survive and be able to play. And Peyton Manning taught me if you prepared well enough, you could be on the field. And I always wanted to meet him. I really did. And lucky enough, I got an opportunity to not only meet him, but Eli Manning, who also was a very cerebral athlete, and their dad, Arch Manning. So if you go to the Twitter account, you could see the photo. You could see how hilariously short I am compared to Peyton. And even though he was literally talking down to me because he's 6'5", he's a giant. He spoke to me like I was his equal. And I'd always heard that Peyton was always just an awesome dude. And I know, yeah, everybody makes sweeping conclusions about celebrities in their brief interactions with them. I've always thought that was so stupid. But the truth is, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and Arch Manning were unbelievably gracious. And I really appreciate it. We yelled out Omaha a few times. And yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun.
That is very cool. I got a brush with Peyton Manning back in about 1990. Well, his last year with Tennessee would have been 97. Nice. So it was 96 or 97. I actually was standing in the end zone where he threw his first collegiate touchdown pass against Mississippi State. And then the next year they were playing Ole Miss. So it was a big deal because I covered Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Alabama. I was at a CBS station in that area. So we went up to Memphis. They played at the Liberty Bowl. So I interviewed Peyton Manning after the game, after he roughed up Ole Miss on that particular day. But nothing like that right there.
That was crazy. It was wild.
That's very cool. That is very cool.
Yeah. I've been lucky, man. I've been very lucky to get to do some things with you two. I'm very lucky to have a dad who's been very successful in his work, and yeah, man, sometimes you just pinch yourself. I still couldn't believe it happened, and yeah, very, very, very blessed. I'm very blessed to have you as a friend. Appreciate you letting me hang out. Thank you so much, man.